The
That's
homeowners
ridiculous.
insurance. And I always raise the question, where are our Black-owned institutions who own property and casualty companies whereby we ain't got to act like our cousins in that industry? Same thing with the mortgage industry.
Yeah.
We don't have to act like them.
Right.
No, if they want to use T-bonds and as a method of how they do their interest rates and the capitalistic system, when the stock market go haywire and inflation hit, the Federal Reserve, first thing they want to do is increase interest rates.
Yeah.
We ain't got to operate like that. When it comes to us, we're 2%, 3%, and we don't give a damn what happened to the market.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
That's the type of system we need in order for us to get over the hump of spending all of this money and being a slave to the mortgage industry.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. Whoa. Now, what suburb is it that you live in, Anthony?
I'm in Riverdale. I own a house.
Riverdale.
I own a house in Riverdale.
Okay.
Okay,
Now, that's like what 100 South is that? Like
144.
okay. All right. Man, and so can you imagine? I live in a 3-story, flat.
Yes,
I guess that's how you would describe it.
6 units.
6 units. And they just sold this building like 6 months ago. And now they're telling the new owners are telling the neighbors how when their lease is up, that their rents are going to go up. And I'm sure it's to cover the fact that they have to come in here renovating, fixing pipes that them busted and all this kind of crap. If you go from $800 to $1,150, that's a $350 hike.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what they're doing.
And
Wow.
then you
This
got
is
your property
ridiculous.
taxes on top of that.
Yeah.
Okay, because the investors want a yield on their investment.
Of course.
Mhm.
Okay. And what we want renters to understand, you pay property taxes through your rent.
That's right.
Okay. The landlord is not going to eat that tax.
Right.
You're going to pay it.
Mm.
Okay.
That's why when people say, I'm in an apartment building, it doesn't matter. Yes, it does
It
matter.
does matter
It does. Yes, it
because
does.
your rent is being taxed by
That's
your
right.
landlord. And I
That's
don't
right.
blame him.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
you don't, what I want folks to understand, you don't have to have property taxes to pay for government. Okay? Property taxes was designed as a racist vehicle to keep us down.
Wow. Racist vehicle.
Yes.
All
And
right.
it's just like I showed you guys this before. This is equalizing school funding at the 1970 Constitutional Convention. The delegates at the workshop on education, one delegate said, I want the state to pick up 100% of funding education.
Yeah.
You had another delegate to say, I disagree with that because if the state picked up 100%, what about the special children? Talk about white children who's smart. Okay. And so since he said, I don't agree with that, they could never vote to create equity and equality in the funding principle of the fact that it is the state responsibility to fund education. Article 10, Section 1, education is free.
I
But
know that.
when this whole process of property taxes came on the threshold at the convention, you had one delegate to say, what if they don't want to pay property taxes? You had another delegate say, well, take their damn property.
Ooh.
Do the law.
Ooh. Yeah, take our property.
And let me see. Think I got it here. Maria Pappas. Maria Pappas have told us now, Cook County property tax sale process hit Black homeowners hardest. Better Government Association. So the property tax sale system has been inherently racist from Jump Street.
From Jump Street.
Okay.
The whole system was set up from Jump Street.
So it was set up to keep us down.
Yeah.
So how can we afford to pay to educate our children when we are property poor, New Chair citizens are property rich? So inherently, that two-tier system don't work for us.
No.
But white folks in California on the Proposition 13, they said they had enough of that crap. So they moved to fund the schools through the income tax system, whereby they now can use capital gains tax to help give additional dollars to education. But the problem facing all of us is that the public sector workers are now making just as much as the private sector workers.
Wow.
And that's not the way it's supposed to be. When you take a job in the public sector, you already know you're not going to make a whole lot of money. Why? Because in the public sector, where do we get our money from? From taxes. In the private sector, you get your money by profits. Okay. So the public sector can never, ever catch up with the private sector. Okay? Wow. But under Amendment 1 that just got passed, the private sector jumped in bed with the public sector to create a masterful hoodwink and bamboozle scenario, because the public sector now have in the Constitution that there's a certain amount of stuff we may have to give them because it's embedded in the Constitution. Which
That's what they were trying to do with this other legislation, right?
Yeah. Which means our property taxes is going to go through the roof if we don't overhaul this system. Okay. And that's what we were saying to all these black folks who was pushing Amendment 1 down our throats. Yeah. No, tax doctor, you ain't right. That. Yeah, they say, tax doctor, you not right. Okay. I say within the next 3 to 5 years, Amendment 1 is going to come back and bite all of us in the BUT.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Okay. Just like with SB 508. Yeah. That has already paid dividends to the units of government. CPS got a $32 million windfall off of SB 508. And the budget is the budget is $10.4 billion. Johnny can't read. Sally can't write. Yeah. And they're spending like $29,000 to $30,000 per pupil. And you got school teachers going into their pockets.
They can't put a sentence together.
Don't make no sense.
No.
So that's what you get.
Wait a minute. Did you say they spending $29,000-$30,000 per pupil?
Yes, in the city of Chicago. Yes.
What?
Yeah. Their budget is 10.4 billion. And the money's not going to the classroom.
I'm about to say that every student must have a computer, and
they don't. And they don't.
Well, this is why our next step has to be an effective homeschooling program, because we are seeing where the money that should be going toward the things that our children need is not going there.
Right.
No, it's going to the administrators.
Our children aren't learning what they need to learn. Of course, you know, they don't even teach cursive anymore. So I'm like, okay, if you can't write in cursive, how are you going to sign your name? You can't sign your name. You can't do any business. You can't sign a check. You can't sign a lease. You can't sign a mortgage. You can't do any business at all if you don't know how to write your name in cursive and have a signature.
You're going to put an X. You're going to put an X1.
That's all they want you to do.
Right. So,
I mean, it sounds far-fetched, but you're on point. You're on point.
Yeah.
So, just like everything else,
we let them get away with stop teaching these kids phonics.
They start home economics, so you don't know how to cook.
Right.
You don't know how to feed yourself. You don't know how to grow your own food.
Yeah.
You know, they stopped sewing classes, so you can't make your own clothes.
Yeah.
I mean, they just stopped everything that would help you be a functionable individual.
Yeah.
No vocational skills. They took, you know, wood carving out of school. They took auto mechanics out of school. How you gonna do what? Everybody's not meant for college.
That's true.
Absolutely.
But CPS listened to the rhetoric of the unions, and they pulled all of the trades out of CPS, other than one school on 111 going south. I'm sorry, going west, which is a agricultural high school. I think the only one of its kind.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
But you know, that just lets us know the responsibility that we have to take. We have to take responsibility for our situation. We have to create the programs of teaching all those things that they took out to schools, because we know those are survival skills. You got to be able to cook. You got to be able to sew. You need to be able to grow food. You're sitting on a plot of land. You know, nobody eats grass. So why aren't we planting food that we can eat? I mean,
well, that's why I have a problem with
for a package of seeds.
Yes.
You can feed yourself a lifetime.
That's why I have a problem with Willie Wilson's candidacy.
Because, well, he's saying that he would turn those buildings into trade schools.
Well, he should have done that after he lost the first time around for mayor, and you had those 100 schools available. He could have took some of his million. He could have took $100 and bought those 100 schools, and he could have done that.
Well, he could have the money to do it, but that's a process that takes a whole staff of people. You have to have people on board for that. You have to have people who have the skills for that. He could have bought the buildings, but it wouldn't do any good unless he had people who were ready to work with him on that idea and believe it would work. Because sometimes you have to convince people that you can do something, even though you can do it, but you can't do it by yourself. So he needs the skilled people to believe that it could happen.
He could have bought one school, one vacant school, turned it into a trade school. He could have done that if he wanted to, but he kept doing his thing. And he's running
an international business. I mean, that's why money's not just flowing out of nowhere. He's running a business which keeps the money flowing. If he stopped doing that, he won't have a money flow.
No, but he look at all the money he gave away, though.
Yeah, which means he had to do something in order for him to have that money to give away.
But the bottom line is
stop whatever that money flow is. He can't just, abandon that and do something else.
This is the point, though. As they teach us, if you teach a man how to fish, he'll eat for life. Willie Wilson had an opportunity to teach these folks how to fish, okay? But he chose a different method.
I
And
think
like when we work,
first you gotta let people know they can fish. I mean, before you teach them how, first they need to understand that they should be doing it. And that's the thing. If we're still at the point where we're complaining that other people won't do something, that means we're not there yet. So even if he had bought the buildings, if we don't have the drive and the belief in ourselves that we can actually make that work, then that's just an empty building that he's bought. So first we have to have the mindset that
we had contractors willing to work with him.
You got to, it's not just contractors, you got contractors, teachers, accountants. I mean, you have to have a whole
you got the whole system.
In order to make it happen. And that comes with belief that it can happen. Just like teaching a man to fish. I mean, it won't do me any good if I tell you, well, you need to fish. Let me give you this pole and this and show you how to put the worm on the hook. If you don't even know that you should be fishing, and you can be still sitting there complaining, these white folks won't give us no fish, and they won't bring the price of fish down in the store. We can be stuck on that. And I'm trying to give you this pole with this hook and this worm on it, so you can catch it, and you still won't even take the pole. You got to have the mindset.
You're right.
And then you got to teach them how to cook the fish.
Yeah, then you got to teach them how to cook it. Yeah, out in the wilderness.
Obi took me to the hospital today.
He did.
And so on the way back home, Obi don't know how to cook. Okay. And Obi, he said, how long does it take to cook buffalo fish? So I asked Google. Google said it takes about 7 minutes. And he said, well, Travis, what am I supposed to do? I say, you got to add a skillet. Yeah. Then you got to have some batter. You season the fish. Then you put the batter on the fish. And then you put the fish in the skillet and let it cook. Well, how do I know if it's done? Well, if you got a thermometer and you stick it in there, it should be like 300 some degrees.
Or you can just taste it.
Right. He said, well, I don't know how to cook. I said, my mama taught me how to cook. Okay. So, but anyway, again, it goes back to what you're saying, Naima.
Yeah.
Everything. There's a learning and teaching moment.
And you know what? And I love the analogy that Naima gave.
Yes.
About, us, everybody helping one another with these service points.
Yes.
And service opportunities, and not worrying about the cash flow, because I guess if we did that, the only thing we would have to worry about with cash would be making sure we could pay our house notes until we can buy the property.
Right.
We still have to keep the lights on and the gas going and the water going, but once we can get our own property, we might be able to do all
We've
that
done it before.
Because I mean, just think about it.
For the lights and the gas.
Yeah. And water falls for free from the sky.
Right.
So
that's right.
I mean, they got all kind of rainwater catching and purifier systems.
Yes.
So eventually we can eliminate cash altogether and just work together and survive. What were we doing before money and banks and all? That's what we were doing.
Have you written any of that, Naima? Have you put that to pencil? Have you put that to paper? I mean,
yes, I'm getting ready to send you the website, and I think I just texted you the Facebook page.
Okay.
And I'm getting ready to send you the website.
It in the paper?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, it takes you back to the barter system. That's all that is.
I mean,
that's all it is.
You're right. That's what we used to do. So why did we move away from that? Why?
Well, because
I mean, the whole idea was, it would be more convenient to have symbols of what we had than the actual thing. Like if you're trying to trade, 3 goats for a barrel of apples, well, you can't be hauling 3 goats around. So just have the symbol of the value of the 3 goats. So that was the original idea, and it would have worked, except the people who control the symbols that we're using wanted to control the symbols so that certain people couldn't
They
get
got
it.
greedy. They got greedy. And they stopped
wanted to
thinking
control
about
things.
the people. They stopped
Right.
thinking about the people, because in that scenario, we should have no homeless people.
Right.
We should have no people. Nobody should be hungry.
Nobody should be hungry.
Everybody
Nobody
should be able to feed themselves. And
Yes.
if it was a fair system, then we wouldn't have anybody trying to kill anybody,
Right.
and take their watch, or
That's
steal
right.
their money, or
That's
rob
right.
their vehicles. We wouldn't have that, because everybody would be able to feed their families.
That's right. Everybody would have what they
See,
need.
that
Nobody
only
would need to
comes, all
steal.
that violence and negativity only comes when somebody has and somebody does not.
That's right. That's it.
Wow. Oh,
So
man.
we can fix this. We can fix this
Yeah.
in our lifetime.
Oh yes,
We can.
man, but that is such a wonderful. You know what? That's it's like you can't see the light if you don't understand that it's on. It
Right.
can be shining right in your face, but if you don't understand that shining means it's on, you can't see the light.
You can't see the light. That's right. It's right there in front of you.
Right in
Yeah.
front of your face. Right.
Well, I'm supposed to be going to a meeting
We're out of here, folks. We're out
Saturday
we're out.
morning for the Pilsen community, working with them on these property taxes.
Ah, okay.
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 So
All right. Well, anything you want us to know, put it in the chat.
I
We're out
will.
of here. It's after 7. I appreciate you guys calling.
All right
in.
now.
And let's work on Naima's theory. Her theory is that she's gonna send us something that we can read and work on in terms of trying to establishing
Right.
this no money system, so that we can take care of ourselves and not worry about the money. And I'm so ready for it.
Yeah.
So
And be your own bank.
be
Yeah.
our own bank.
Your
Oh,
own bank. There
Keep
you
Wouldn't
you
that
go.
some
be
dollars
great?
and some
I could
quarters
just go
and
over
some
to your
fives.
garden and get some apples, and go over to yours and get some tomatoes, and you can come over to mine and get some cucumbers, and we can all eat some char, and we'd be just okay.
Yeah.
Right, or some wood or
That's right.
something to make some
Be
sense
okay.
with.
We'd be okay. Listen, thanks for joining. We're out of here. I'll see you guys next week.
All right
I'll
now.
talk to
Peace
you
out.
soon.
See you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I used to believe in freedom of speech until I had to pay my first phone bill. That's cool, because I heard reality only makes you stronger if it don't kill. Do you think nature cares more for the mountain or the molehill? Does it favor the rabbit that plows the earth when it's alive, or the one that fertilizes the soil when it becomes roadkill? It appears the night and day don't discriminate. Imagine if the sun and moon had to debate, labor over mandate, who was the best candidate to rise at the break of dawn. But then again, based on how infrequently the sun shines in Britain, maybe that statement itself is debatable. But the above examples are merely to highlight that we are probably the species with the most autonomy in the whole of the Earth's geography. So why do we struggle with its philosophy to the point where it becomes a foreign ideology when even nature practices democracy? All I'm saying is that, like a German football fan in a pub in Shoreditch during the 2010 World Cup matchup between the two countries, our human emotions and democracy find it difficult to coexist, causing us to make a mockery of this. So this raises the question, did Atticus Finch kill a mockingbird for a concept that doesn't really exist? Ironic how human nature and the laws of nature conflict. Our judgments are clouded by a lion's share of pride, rather than following the example of the lion and its pride. I used to believe in democracy, till my mum would give my sister the biggest chicken in the soup, simply because she was a lot bigger. And that's how we learnt democracy worked in our social groups, only hold value to the views of those who were most popular. And that's why we find it difficult to make any progress, and the adults didn't do much to facilitate the process, because we were always shot down at the first sign of protest. But when bees gather honey for the queen, they don't have to worry about pay cut, possibly redundancy, a recession? Have you ever seen a rise in young B unemployment? So if nature can get it right, maybe it's not the way we've been practicing it all along, but maybe it's the mentality we've adopted towards it which is wrong. Because for us, it's not even about who or what we're voting for. It's more about what it represents and what we're hoping for. We're driven by emotions and our pride as people. But from the passenger seat, how much control do you really have to drive the vehicle? Because nature made some of us white and some of us black. Some of us skinny and some of us the opposite of that. But nature didn't make us discriminate, put bombs on our back, or station troops in foreign lands. The only nature that causes that is human nature, and that's all the facts. Do you know that red deer herds only move when 60% of the adults stand up, effectively voting with their feet? Both baboons and apes do not select a male leader until the females in the group have had a chance to look and decide. And the feminists would probably have a chuckle at that, because we struggle in fact with a concept as simple as women's rights. We live in juxtaposition to the universe and its natural tendencies. So democracy works, but people don't. We'd rather focus on what divides us than what unites us, and what's inside us. Representing for the same spot where Mark Duggan was shot, where Damilola was stabbed, where Stephen Lawrence was dropped. When animals kill one another, it's either for survival or nourishment. When the rain beats down on the soil, it's merely to provide the seeds with some encouragement. Google the Baltic and the North Sea. Watch how they balance perfect with no need for establishment or congressman. Do you know the hermit crab does not grow its own shell? It wanders along and uses whatever it can for a shell, whether it be glass, bottles or cans. So effectively, this proved that recycling is also a naturalistic tendency, and we struggle with that as well. I had an argument with my friend who stated that our consciousness has allowed us to become supreme beings on this earth. And I responded, but animals eat, sleep, spend time with their family each week, travel the earth as they please. I spend more time texting some people than we actually speak. So is this consciousness really a gift or a curse? So before we look at democracy, let's look at hypocrisy. And we should realize that every problem we have on this earth, we are the responsible ones. And the only law we need to work on implementing is our natural ones. Because nature practices democracy. Human nature, as of yet, does not.